Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the third instalment and final instalment, should I say, of the prediction shows for the main events this weekend. We've got from the Cosmopolitan in Vegas, Matchroom and Eddie Hearn promoting it on DAZN. Diego Pacheco is back, one of the highest rated prospects in world boxing, especially at super middleweight. He's facing Steven Nelson in a battle of the undefeateds. Funnily enough, Pacheco's actually had more fights than Nelson, but Nelson is 13 years his senior.
Only two more.
Yeah, only two. But on paper, I guess it's a more competitive matchup than a lot of Pacheco's previous fights. We had the watch along doing the Selecki fight in his last one, didn't we? Where Selecki had never been stopped and he nailed him with that great body shot. It was a peach, like you say, mate. It really was. I love Diego Pacheco. He's always after the finish. He hits so hard. WBO International and WBC USA Super Middleweight Championships on the line, whatever that means. That's a good trinket for you, Liam.
Big time trinkets, that.
Yeah, two punches. You have to give the edge to Pacheco with the youth and definitely the power on his side. Look, when you look at down Nelson's record, there's not really too much to scream and shout about.
There's no one on it, man. It should be blank.
Yeah, it's like Jaime Munguia on steroids, his record is, to be fair. But yeah, how do you see the fight, boys?
I mean, a one-sided ass whooping. Am I being obnoxious when I say that? I mean, Nelson hasn't boxed anyone. He hasn't actually. No disrespect to his opponents. They're 1,000 times the man that I could ever be, and I'm just giving an observation as a fan. But there's barely any names on there that I've ever heard of. So I'm not going to say he's been protected or it's a padded record, but as you said, the similarities between the likes of Munguia, he's got to 20-0 by barely boxing anybody that's ranked in the top 20 really of the American rankings, and certainly world rankings. He's barely boxed anybody. So for me, I see it as a one-sided fight. I think we might be close for a couple of rounds, as the previous prediction that we just said. I think he might make it awkward, but I think once Pacheco finds his rhythm, I think he'll just overwhelm him, and I see him being too fast, too strong, too slick, and I see it being I don't want to say an easy night's work, but a straightforward night's work for Diego Pacheco.
Yeah, Pat's gone with a mid-round body shot similar to his last fight against Selecki. Liam, one for you. I know you like these. His first scheduled 12-rounder and his 21st fight.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna go a bit Jay's fight talk here on the vibe, and I actually have this as my sleeper of the weekend, in the fact that yes, Nelson is 20-0 against people that if you walk past in the street you wouldn't know who they are, but he's a live opponent in there, and what they're trying to do with Pacheco is navigate him along very nicely, and when Canelo moves up, they're going to pounce on him into those vacant belts. That's why you got WBO and WBC throwing their 3% on this fight, because that's the direction Matchroom trying to move him into. But Eddie Hearn and his American prospects had a rotten 2024 in similar fights to this, where you had a fighter that has an unbeaten record but hadn't really done anything. And then they came into a fight with some of his prospects, and a lot of them got beaten at the back end of 2024. I'm still going to side with Pacheco, but what I will say is I believe this will be a hard night's work for him. I think it will go to points. I think it will be close on the scorecards. And I do wonder if we may have Nelson feeling a bit hard done by come the end of the night. There's just something inside me that says that Pacheco is thinking he's at a certain level. He's taking this fight. And as soon as you hear about stay busy fights, you worry where a fight is looking ahead to. We've seen it time and time again. I just think Nelson's going to come out on a Matchroom card, big opportunity, and he knows what's at stake in the super middleweight division. I still think Pacheco will win it on points, but it would not at all surprise me if Steven Nelson pulled off the shock.
Interesting. It's a good point you make about the.
Have to swap us round.
Yeah. It's an interesting point you make about Hearn and the prospects, because he's got Tito Mercado facing Pedraza on the undercard as well, which Pedraza is in the back end of his career, but he's been in with everybody. Tank, Keyshawn, Loma. He's been in with Barboza. He's been in with everybody. So That's another one to keep an eye on. I'm sure we'll preview that one a bit later in the week. But yeah, you make a fair point. I'm more on the Pat and Jay side of things. I think Pacheco he's got that killer in him. I think the way he dealt with Selecki last time. Selecki's very durable, and I know we took him out with a body shot, and it would have took anybody out. But he had that on his mind. I'm going to be the first one to stop him. Jacobs couldn't stop him, and whoever else it was couldn't get rid of him out there. I think that he looks a bit special. Pacheco is so tall at the weight. He's big. He hits so hard. I'm going to go with a 7th or 8th round stoppage here. I think he's going to take him out potentially to the body, like Pat said. But I see where you're coming from, Liam. At the end of the day, we know why Nelson's in there. He's undefeated. You can sell it on 20-0 versus 22-0. And he's not 20-0 like 5 knockouts. He's 20-0 16 knockouts. He can clearly punch. So will Pacheco go through? Will he break the Eddie Hearn prospect curse against opponents? I'm interested. I'm definitely interested. I'm more interested in it than I was Selecki, to be fair.
Yeah,
definitely.
There's something there. There's just something there. And look, fighters have nothing to lose. And if Pacheco is already being told that he's going to get a shot at a vacant world title later this year, then that could be enough to take his eye off the ball for what is. He hasn't. We talk about Pacheco's record and he's done everything outstanding, but he still hasn't really been tested himself, has he? Because he's beat a certain level of opponents. Selecki was given to him when Selecki was on the slides. He's always taken on opponents that have been overmatched against him. Could transpire that Nelson is as well, but he also hasn't been tested. So this could be where we find out where they're both at.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's fair. So yeah, we're all picking Pacheco, but especially Liam thinks we may get a closer fight than many anticipate. But let's see. Thank you very much for joining me, boys, this evening. As always, Liam, Tully, Jay's Fight Talk, DJ, Pat, Luca have been with us throughout as well. So appreciate that, guys. We'll be back later time than normal at 8 p.m. tomorrow for No Punches Paul. Wednesday for some more prediction shows. Friday, we've got Inoue, of course. Saturday, we've got Dalton and Pacheco fighting. There's a bit of... I know there's not UFC. That's next week. I do apologise. And then next week, we've got... What's that?
PFL.
The PFL, sorry, that was it. Yeah, PFL is on as well. Yeah, we'll cover some of that. Next week is a huge weekend. Obviously, Benavidez Morel, the biggest fight, but you got Azim as well in London. So boxing is back. We're back with lots more to come. Appreciate everybody tuning in, subscribing, watching, and Jay and Liam for joining me. And we'll see you tomorrow for No Punches Pulled.